what they started to do was they started to look ahead and find a boogeyman, and they found it very easily in law enforcement. Well, the Uni-Party was in charge under Bush, right, before Obama came into office, and it started to get out that the Iraq War was started for the second time under false pretenses. It started to become the narrative, and the Uni-Party lost control. And the biggest difference in that, even back then, was social media was in its infancy. You had MySpace, you had other things, but people were starting to talk to each other, and the Uni-Party couldn't have that, right? So they needed to find something to change the narrative away from, hey, our government created this war that we didn't need. Afghanistan, absolutely. Iraq, perhaps going to get a few people, but we didn't need to have this full-blown war that lasted a year and caused hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of American deaths. And it still hasn't, Iraq will never be a normal country. We all know that. So they needed to make a change. So what they started to do was they started to look ahead and find a boogeyman, and they found it very easily in law enforcement. That was their boogeyman at the time, which is why the rise of Barack Obama came so easily. What was it that Joe Biden said, calling him the first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright with a clean and nice looking guy, right? They had this guy who was a junior senator who didn't know much of anything. Nobody knew who the hell he was. Nobody knew who Barack Obama was. And I don't care who you drag in front of a microphone who's going to say, oh, I know Barack back in the day. Nobody knew who Barack Obama was because he had no history. He had no real history. And we had no way of digging up whatever history he might have had. But they found their person to change the conversation. Remember, back then, the Uni-Party was strong. As we know now, as we've seen now with the amount of information we're able to get from the internet, we know the Uni-Party even 8 years ago was different. Now winded up almost 20 years ago. And how different that Uni-Party was there. Democrats and Republicans, right? They knew for a fact that it was going to be all of them going down or none of them going down. So they changed. They changed how they did things. They got into divisive politics. And one of the things that they started to do really well is it's not just Democrat against Republican anymore. No, it's black versus white.